Okay, popping in. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Okay, I want to welcome everyone back after lunch. You're in for a treat again for the afternoon. We have Ari in a similar spot that he was in yesterday, but it's going to dive into credentials, some of our certifications here at GitHub, the new GitHub Agentic AI Developer credential, as well as some CLI stuff. I know we're chatting through some CLI questions earlier in some of the earlier sessions, and Ari is going to kind of like walk us through more of CLI stuff, which is awesome. Awesome CLI, so much, so fun, so much fun, and we use it a lot, like I said, in our team's usage and for just kind of general like you know professional development and like productivity. It's like the CLI has actually been super helpful. So I will hand it over to Ari with no further ado, and let y'all, let you get started.
Awesome. Thank you, Morgan. How is everyone doing after lunch? Hopefully everyone's still awake after eating their lunch or taking their break. My name is Ari Levigny. I'm a senior learning advocate, and let me share my screen with all of you wonderful folks. There we go. I'm going to let me put it in this mode to start. Yeah, perfect. So I'm going to cover, as Morgan said, GH600 Agentic AI Developer certification. It's our new certification. It's actually in beta right now. So I do recommend taking it now. The exam is good technically until they make some changes for 2 years. So that's another reason why you might want to take it. But I'm going to get into the different domains of the exam, study guide, like just a lot of information. Also, let me just make sure I have the chat up so I can see any questions that pop up. And I will cover all of that. Some of the good learning modules, Microsoft learning modules we have that match up with the different domains. So it'll give you a good sense of like where you got to spend your time, how much percentage each thing is, and really get into what is involved in the exam. And before I finish that, the presentation and kind of walking through that, I will have a surprise code that might help you with a discount on the exam. So, definitely at least stay tuned to the end of that. And then we will get into the CLI, as Morgan said, where I actually will walk through one of our skills exercises. But if we have enough time after that, I think we can just kind of free will and like give it some problems to solve and walk through some examples. And even if maybe on the chat, you guys could give me some examples if there's time. So let's get started. I don't want to take too much time on just talking without getting into some of the deep dive of the exam. So kind of this is our first, I would say, GitHub, and GitHub. We have obviously a lot of certifications for GitHub Copilot, Foundations, Admin, Advanced Security, and Actions. But this is focused on a more persona based. So it's very much, focused from a kind of agentic AI engineer or developer. And it focuses on continuous AI, the contributor model where, the agents kind of process things, kind of what we covered yesterday when I talked about, using walking through the exercise on Copilot that I did, and also talking about the skills exercise creator. So this kind of falls in line with the same theme because you are the humans, right? We're in the loop and we're accepting what the agents are doing. And this is kind of walking through some of the guidelines around that. Um, so the exam itself is made up of 6 domains. And also feel free to ask any questions if something's not clear or you want me to kind of dive a little bit deeper on one of these. We will get into each one of these. I'll talk about each one and the reference. In fact, why don't I share all of this beautiful information with you folks now so then you have it to look at afterwards. Let me just find, there we go. So this kind of covers, perfect. All right, let me paste this in the chat. And this will be what I'll be covering throughout this. So you can save it for later, but it's a good, basically, summary of links that get you really what you need to know for the exam. So we got domain 1, which is very much the software development lifecycle. I would actually like to name it Agentic Development Lifecycle. But that's what it's prepare the agent architecture, and it's really getting like the foundation. So if you see along here, when we get to the next slide, you'll see how that matches up with our learning. That kind of will give you all the information about that domain. That has a probably a middle of the road percentage. Domain two, obviously a little bit more because you're implementing the tools that you're going to use as a agentic developer, MCP servers and APIs and things like that. And I'll get into more detail, but that's a bigger part of the exam. And then there's domain three, where it's about the memory management state and execution and how, the agents are keeping context through memory and how that works. And there's a good module on that as well. There's a module for each one of these. The first one actually has two. And then we get into like the perform domain four, which is perform evaluation, error analysis, and tuning. And that's also kind of related to memory and state because a lot of that is what gets you better performance, error analysis of the output, and maybe some tuning that you want to do, whether it's more context to the agent or in your workflow, making sure that that is, that all of the information is at hand, all the context is available. Um, and then domain five, I really like this one because it's about agent orchestration. And I feel like we've gone from, Copilot or AI software development or just AI in general to help kind of sit alongside us while, we are, peer programming or peer kind of going through our workflow. Whereas like agent orchestration is much more about kind of like describing what you want done and delegating to different types of agents, planning, coding, or even if you're just creating a design or something like that, and kind of offloading that work to a bunch of agents to go do it while maybe you're focused on something more or a different problem or something more interesting at that point in time. And then the implement guardrails and accountability, which very much is like governance and like kind of, compliance or things like that. And that's important too. And we'll cover some topics around that, like humans in the loop or least privilege or topics like that as we go through. So I think that covers that. And now here's a domain matched up with our learning. So there is as I said in the first one, there's two modules for that first domain. And then there's also a double up here of memory and state evaluation cover these domain three and four. So you may want to spend more time there because if you look at the overall percentage, it's a lot larger, but similar to what domain two is pretty large too. The guardrails and accountability, that's a little bit less. And then the orchestration. And then we have the links here that I put in the chat are available that kind of match up. So I kind of made this little matching of, what the objective and domains are and how that matches up to the module. So then you can kind of spend time where you want. Um, yeah. So let me get into domain one. I put approximate, suggested times. It doesn't mean like that's a hard and fast rule, but I think I wanted to give some guidance of like how much of the exam is each. And then we have the exam objectives on the left side and kind of those learn units. So when you go into the module, this is what you're going to learn. And that matches up to reinforce so that you're ready for the exam for that one. I will share these slides too. So like, obviously you have all the links and then you can match it up with this as kind of just like maybe your little blueprint for the whole exam. One thing too, I think I put in there is the study guide. That's the exam. Here, let me get out of the way. Sorry about that. So this is the study guide too, and that goes into just details about like the exam, what skills it's covering, the overall domains, and then it kind of describes each one and those. So that's in the links that I provided to you. Any questions, feel free to ask me. And then at the top, obviously, I put a link to the exam itself. When I do give you that surprise code at the end, and I'll give you more information about what it kind of covers and what's part of it. So stay tuned for that. But essentially, when you walk through to schedule your exam, when you get to the end is where you're going to put the code right before you pay, basically. So don't be alarmed if like you don't see a way to put in the code or there's another area for code and doesn't seem clear. Just wait to the end where you go to pay for the exam and that will be clear to you. Okay, back to the domains. Um, Domain two. So this is kind of covering, the config agent tools and permissions. How do you configure, a remote GitHub MCP server, MCP registries, the allow list for different MCP servers. And this is where on the Microsoft Learn module side, what it maps to in those objectives there. Model context protocol is a big one, and how agents interact with GitHub APIs and workflows. Obviously, a lot of this has a lot of, while it is persona based, it's how you use that persona with our GitHub products. So it's kind of a marriage of both our products and a persona of how you use them. So more use case based as well. Domain three, manage memory state and execution. This is uh, around implement short-term, long-term memory strategies, and then persist agent state. Sometimes that state it needs to know what happened previously to know what to do. And actually, when we use the CLI, it takes like almost like a compaction or like a snapshot of what things are, so that it knows to go back to that as a reference point. And that's really what that's about. And making sure that you're not going off the rails with your context, or something I described yesterday as context rot if you were on the call yesterday when I did my presentation. Ensure continuity of memory across tools and environments. And these are the Learn module units that match up with that. Um, yeah, so this is more on like putting some like guidelines around what your success criteria is, evaluation signals, tune agent behavior. So maybe there's some tweaks that you want to write into your agent to make sure like it's going to have the output you want. Like I'll give you an example. I created our GitHub skills exercise around agentic workflows, and it comes out of the box with that agentic workflow the agentic workflow agent, but I can modify that. And I added some things I wanted to do. Like I did not want it to compile automatically, more to show the example of how to do that. So I made sure I added that to the agent. I think that's some of the fine tuning that you can do, that it's talking about. And these Learn modules and units will help you really show you how that's done. Analyze the failures, how to improve behavior, and really get out of where if the agent's going off the rails or hallucinating. Like those are some of the techniques that you learn in those modules. Like I said, this is my favorite one. Really walks through how the software development lifecycle works really in the agent world and like a team of agents, and how you orchestrate them, different workflows. Maybe you want some of your agents to run in parallel because their tasks are completely separate, and that's where the orchestration comes in, and making it so that it's observable so you can see what's going on, what your agents are producing, and how they're producing it. And then really that's really kind of allows you to operate at scale when you have that kind of observability into what your agents are doing and how you've deployed them. There's obviously you can create custom agents through the CLI, through GitHub.com with our new GitHub Copilot app, if anyone is familiar with that. But yeah, it covers five, and then we have the last one, configure observability and control for autonomous agents, implement human intervention workflows, enforce least privilege and risk-based autonomy. So human intervention, part of the loop, part of that governance and those guardrails, the observability, so that you can control the autonomous agents, or at least look at what it's doing so that like you're aware of that. Enforce the least privilege and risk-based autonomy when it comes to like give the agents a least amount of access to your system as possible of what they need to use. Agentic workflow is something I mentioned before. I have a skills exercise on that, and it's actually one of our new products that just came out in public preview that really kind of allow you to run agents almost in a sandbox, so they don't have access to do anything without you authorizing them to do so. Or maybe they're just generating an issue, for example, to make it more practical. Of they generate a GitHub issue for you with details on the state of your repo. Or maybe it's a pull request that are making updates to your code and suggesting things based on like an update of libraries or things like that. Or maybe like documentation, like like I have my agentic workflow is going out to update a website based on the new GitHub features that are released via our blog and changelog. And that's kind of what mine covers. But maybe you have a topic for your university where you update information on websites. Agentic workflows could help you with that. And this really gets into sandboxing of agents and making sure like they're locked down and they're not going off the rails. Um, so that covers the exam. As you see, it's about 8 minutes, I think, for each one. And then this is a cool diagram for the software development lifecycle with agents and kind of the different domains and how they fall into that. I generated this based on the content, and I just think like this really speaks to the cycle and the different domains that come into play and how those those domains are covered in different areas where, planning is a lot of the architecture and the foundations and the tools that you're using, and error analysis to, more of the evaluate is on the governance and the tuning and all of that part. And then the multi-agent orchestration and the memory state and how they keep track. That's really how they're acting. So are there other GitHub certifications in there, a sequence of certification? Where does this? Oh, sure. Um, well, with our other ones that we have, and I can bring that, I can share that too with you folks. We'll just go to credentials. This is a good overview of our credentials. I'll paste that in here. There is actually no order. I think on the Microsoft side, there is an order. So if you follow the numbers, I think like this is GH600. I think they have our earlier ones that cover, and it's not just GitHub, it's also across the Azure and Microsoft products as well. But when it comes to GitHub, this is more focused in on us of what we do. So here's the new beta exam here. Copilot is an exam. That one is a pretty easy exam to take. Foundations, if you're just what like PJ covered yesterday with like the basics of Git and GitHub, if you're comfortable with that, that's a great exam to take. Actions is more about the automation using GitHub Actions in your repository, administrating your repository. That might not really mean a lot to you. Like obviously, take the exams. Like these are more product based, like I said, and this one is more persona based. If you're interested in security, and you want to dive a little deep on that, that's one of more. I know that our advanced security and admin are one of some of our more difficult exams. Foundations is very basic of Git and GitHub. Actions isn't too bad, and Copilot's pretty easy to take as well from my experience. And then the new one is a little bit more complicated for sure, just what it covers, the breadth of what it covers. But hopefully that answers your question. So yes, that's these are all our certs. There are some applied skills you could take as well. Um, but I would focus in on the certs themselves. And again, too, if you go to our main page, I guess I'll point this out too. Obviously, I'm pinpointing the Microsoft Learn modules for this exam. But if you wanted to understand, like from the standpoint of, um, like we can do the agentic AI developer, and you can see all of the learnings that are related to that. Um, these are the modules, these three. Probably we need another three updated there. So that might be a little stale. They haven't updated yet. It is in beta, so I think you're still trying to get information out there. But the links that I sent you covers everything. But like advanced security has a lot of learn modules, some exam pro. Some of these are pay, but all of the GitHub ones and the Microsoft Learn ones are free. So keep that in mind. All of the Microsoft Learn, GitHub Skills, all of that stuff is open source and freely available to you to use at your leisure whenever you want. Um, yeah, there's some good learning paths too as well that you can cover. And if you wanted to just see all of our learning paths, you could go there as well. We're still filling out a lot of the information here. We've been kind of like constantly iterating on this site to add information. But yeah, that tells you by credential how you can find content as well. Um, so yeah, I'll just put this in here too. Not that it's hard to find if you have the Learn site. And yeah, so that's the exam. Again, this is the link to the exam. I put it in there. The study guide, um, the modules themselves. Um, we can bring those up, and I'll walk you through one module because I think like it's pretty self explanatory. Um, so this is what a Microsoft Learn module is. You can set up a profile. Obviously, you get like different points and stuff as you progress through taking all modules, even besides these. Excuse me. And you can add these to kind of like what I do sometimes. Like mine's already added. I created what's called a collection. So if you want to kind of group different trainings together, that's what I think I love about Microsoft Learn. It is good. We do have some of our GitHub skills mixed in some of our modules. I don't know if there's any in these. I don't think there are, but we probably will add as we go. But the idea, the format of a module are these different units, nice introduction, and then there's always a knowledge check and a summary, and then all of the objectives are kind of in the middle there across all our Microsoft Learn modules. So it's you can see the pattern, how much you spend on each one. I've already walked through some of these, but actually I've walked through all of them. But yeah, we can even go like for example, the tooling one is a good one I think to also show. Gives you good coverage, and you're not spending a ton of time on that too. Um, a little trick I use, and I'll share it with you folks too. When I take these exams or I look at the Microsoft Learn modules, I actually add them to I use Notebook LM a lot. Um, don't tell anyone at Microsoft I do that. No, I'm just kidding. We're allowed to use Notebook LM, but it's a tool that's really handy for me. I use it personally and I use it for work. I use it for everything. Basically, it is my notebook. So if you haven't used that, check it out. Let me just make sure I have the chat up. Um, and what I Yes, I love Microsoft. It's nothing against Microsoft. For me, I do use Microsoft tools for a lot of things. Obviously, I use VS Code and other things. But I like Notebook LM just the way that it's set up and what it can generate. I actually generated my slides. I think I mentioned that yesterday. It's just really cool to. I actually. Oh no, we can dismiss that. I like the way that it does. You can kind of give it information in Notebook LM, and I generated this using that. Obviously, I'm going to create one that's more GitHub branded, but I thought for this it was kind of fun and keeping with the theme. Like PJ, I saw some of his images, and I did this yesterday. But Notebook LM is an awesome tool to use. So if you wanted to, you could take a link to all of these, add it to Notebook LM. Maybe you could generate a podcast for yourself. Like it can do that. You can generate a video or your slides or go check Notebook LM out. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I can't say enough about that tool. It is really useful for generating different types of content, not only for yourself for learning, but maybe for your students. It's another tool in the toolbox to use along our GitHub products as well. All right. So we covered the exam. Any questions or anything else I can answer about that for you, or something's not clear? Please take the time to think about, you know, I think the exam is about 90 minutes in total. Um, I think it's the time that they give you. I'm not saying it takes that amount of time, but I think that's about the time that you have. It might be 2 hours. I'm not 100% sure of that, but you have plenty of time to cover the materials. That are on the exam of how much you'll spend on each one. You should have plenty of extra time. I know in the Copilot exams and the actions exam, the admin exam, I had enough time to complete. So don't be intimidated by that you're in a time. I think there all are also, if you need accommodations, they will make accommodations as well. Um, Trying to think if there's anything else that I need to mention about the exam. I know everybody wants the code. Do you know if employers are looking for these? Yeah, I would say employers are looking for these certifications for sure. And the reason why I say that is obviously the product ones are great. I like that we have GitHub product exams, but this one in particular, and that's why we kind of worked on it and put it out there, is that it's very much persona based, and you'll notice a lot of job openings or things centered around, you know, agentic AI engineers or things like that, or developers. Because now it's kind of I look at AI as another tool in the toolbox. It's not the only one, it's not replacing us. It's really great to just understand we're kind of evolving as software developers. That's kind of the title on the slide and stuff. So that answers your question there. Um, Anything? No other questions? All right. Let's. I think we've covered the exam. Let me give you the code. Everybody's waiting on pins and needles. Let me just find it. There we go. All right. I'm going to put this in the chat. This code gets you 50% off for the first 1,000. So go schedule your exam. You can schedule for whenever. So use the code now, schedule then, but you get 50% off for the exam, which is pretty awesome. And like I said, the first 1,000 users. So ready, set, go. Luckily, this isn't Black Friday, so I think we're all right. Everyone can get the code and do what they need to do. This is not a ticket queue line either. Sorry. Um, Making jokes. So that's the code. I'll give folks a little time, and then we're going to switch gears to the CLI, and also leave a little room. If you guys have any follow-up questions, I'm happy to answer those as well. Um, so let me know if there's anything that pops up or you're not sure, it's not clear. But hopefully this presentation, and I will share this. What I'm going to do too is let me just go to my trusty notebook LM, and I am going to generate a PDF of the slides, and I can post them for you.
I will
Just
unmute to say, just to chime in really quickly on
yeah,
codes. Now that we're talking about codes,
please.
everyone who has registered for the summit will get both this 50% off code. Fantastic. You'll also just for the low cost of filling out my post-event survey, will get a completely free code for either the foundations or the Copilot exam. So all you have to do is fill out my post-event survey, which I will email out. That'll also be along with a lot of the resource kit, including all the links that are shared. But you'll get two fun prizes, a 50% off code, and you'll get a free one as well if you do the other thing. That's all. That was my plug.
Thank you. That's awesome. More we all love free and money off of things. We love discounts. Let me grab my surprise that didn't just I just got to do it the old fashioned way. Let me do that. Here, let me do this. It's not pasting. Let me see. Interesting. Here we go. Uh, yeah. Personally, I love using certifications to get a thorough. Yeah, I think that's a great point, actually, Brett. That is a really good point. Like, yes, you could totally do it for an employer, like you said. Some like it, some don't. I would say do it for yourself, right? Like, it's really just like an achievement. You get a Credly badge alongside of it that you can share, but also it's like your thoroughness of the knowledge, right? Of the topic. Make sure it really shows you understand that space, and definitely fill that role in that persona. So I think that's a great point. Thanks for saying that. Let me see why I cannot share. Let's see. I guess I don't have the ability to do that. Is it maybe my account can't share? Should I just share it with you, Morgan, with you, and then you can share it along?
Sure what?
The slides.
Oh, the slides. Oh, the slides. Yes, 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 yes. So share the slides with me, and I'll be able to get them to everyone. What we're going to
Awesome.
do is we're going to post them in the teacher toolbox so folks be able to get them there, and then we can also email them out. So yeah, I'm
Perfect.
collecting all the materials so we can get them to
Sorry.
everyone.
You might have mentioned that to me and I totally forgot.
Oh, no worries.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, I'll just paste it in here. There you go. You have it. It's just a nice PDF version of it, so it's easy to follow along and use. You can add it to Notebook LM and use it as a resource if you like. As you can tell, I like that app a lot. All right. So, any other questions? I think we've covered it all. And then while I go through the CLI, if something pops in your head, feel free to just ask. No worries. Like I get it. Sometimes those questions don't come right away. So, feel free to ask. So, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna ask a question at first. I am doing this in light mode. I prefer dark mode. Um, I don't know, I don't want to take a huge polar survey on here, but for me, like I like the dark mode. It's easier on my eyes. But I think what I've talking to when I've done live streams before, everyone says you're supposed to do light theme so it looks better, more bright or whatever. So we're doing light theme. It's a little bit of a little note on that. So what I'm going to walk through is using the CLI very basic. This is one of um, like the first CLI exercises that I worked on. I'm actually working on a part two that's going to be more advanced, and you'll see it listed with our other skills. But I wanted to kind of have just a very basic coverage of what the CLI can do, how you can use it with GitHub, especially for folks that like a lot of the stuff that we covered yesterday that well, if I should say PJ covered on how GitHub works, how Git works, all of those fundamentals, which I think are so important to understand. Like we don't want to just rely on the AI to do everything. We got to understand it. But to streamline or make you more efficient, work smarter, not harder, I think this comes into play here where you're using the CLI, you're using Copilot like we did yesterday, or you might use it in our new app. I'm actually starting to play around more with the app. There's just so many things to try out, but I love the CLI. I can't say enough about it, of how awesome it is. So let's get started. This is just an exercise. I'll copy and paste this in here as well so you guys have it. Um, Question two, collaborator shared this report. Burning. Yeah. We, I don't know if it's on our site. I want to point something out. Just sorry to go back to this, but I think it's really important. Credentials. Maybe it's not posted here yet. I think it's not out yet, but we're working on something called the proficiency model, and it talks about like really understanding, like besides certifications, how people can understand content and how they're rated, how they grasp it, and their different proficiency in different areas. And we're putting out one for GitHub Copilot, so look for that in the future. Last session was from the browser. This is main perfect. So I would like to know how the CLI works. Sure, let's get into it. So that's the exercise. I'm going to copy this to my handle. Um, I'm going to name this version EDU since we're doing this in EDU Summit. Uh, Again, just same thing. I'm copying it over to my handle. I did this yesterday for people that were here. You could prompt something to start with if you really wanted to, but obviously this is to kind of keep it in the realm of our exercise. What I'm going to do is walk through the exercise, and you guys can do that on your own as well. And then we can kind of play around. So maybe you give me an idea of something you want to create, and you can give me some context for some part of that, and we can kind of go a little bit crazy and just vibe code and see what we come up with, what we create. I actually did this at Microsoft Build in our ship and tell area, and it was pretty awesome. We had fun. All right, boom, we're ready to go. So we'll walk through the exercise. Again, I'm doing this in a code space. But you mentioned, right, you've seen it in the browser and the UI and all of that stuff. So this is going to use a VS Code, but very much, which I touched on a little bit yesterday, of using it in the CLI, using the CLI in that. Um, so let me get to this is just like the commands and things. And then here's our code space. We'll set that up. Sorry. Create the code space. I obviously copied this repo over. It has my handle. It puts that little skills dash, and we added a little edu for this special session that we're doing. And as I go through it too, feel free to ask questions. This is going to set up the um, the CLI inside of terminal and editor instead of just a basic VS Code editor. This is how I develop every day, whether it's basic things for Markdown or I'm writing some app or I'm creating a game. Um, I like this because it gives me all of the cool things about an IDE where I can see my files. I can also see the Git control and the source control of what we're doing. Oops, still coming up, so it'll give it a minute. But it has all the source control where I want to create a branch. I want to, push that, make a commit, push that up, get a pull request going. Like that's why I like that. I also for this session, I did strip it down a bit so it doesn't have a lot of the bells and whistles in an IDE to make it just focused on the CLI. But by all means, if you want to use the full IDE, you can do that. That's how I use it. As you can see, it took that away. Um, and we can always turn that back on if we want to, but I really want to focus on the CLI itself. You can do everything in the CLI. So I wanted to show us doing it that way. You still have access to the files and you can see them. And the source control you can bring up if you need to, like if you wanted to bring up a branch or something like that. But we could all do it here through Copilot. You still have this inline suggestion stuff we covered yesterday where you can ask questions on the terminal. But let's walk through what this is of setting things up. You can install it this way. We actually add it now. I believe that all you have to type, and you can follow along and follow those directions, install it via npm if you want. But if you just want to remember the name Copilot, you're in a session, it's going to ask you to do it. And that's all you have to do. And then once you have it installed, then you can type Copilot again to get into it. Any questions so far? Let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see this much clearer than how I had it. As you notice too, right, I removed the chat as well. The chat is gone on the other side. I could bring it back if I want to, but by default it shuts off. And that's just how I set up this code space, which is all, like I said before, controlled in here. So if you were to look in this JSON and ask Copilot about it, we could do that. Um, Wow, I don't think I've used a Copilot a lot in Light Theme. Um, I may switch back just because it's a lot clearer to do. Um, let me do that. I have a nice little shortcut that should make that a little bit easier for me. I just like the way it looks. This seems just too bright. My terminal is black, so just give it a second. It should switch. There we go. All right. Um, I don't know if that's not clear. You can let me know and I can go back. But I'm going to focus here. A couple of things about the CLI. I just started it. I didn't give it any other switch or anything at all. Um, it tells you about your model, how many credits, your session. If you wanted to see, you can right click to copy, Control C, right click to copy. Just a general help, and you can kind of peruse through the exam, through the commands, the slash commands, and you can see all of they're kind of little sections where you can see like what's covered in what, like sessions are resuming, renaming, things like that, sharing them, doing a copy. I think there's also a fork. Where is the fork? I would expect it to be there, but I'm sure it's in here somewhere. Well, let's make sure we have the latest and greatest too. So let's do an update. Let's do pre-release. I had not typed it right. Oh, I am in the latest. Okay. So let's do unknown command. Maybe that's just not out yet. I know I've seen somebody do it, so maybe it's just not released yet. That's okay. Let's go back to help. Stuff related to code, permissions. This is where like I think we did it yesterday in the chat where like it kept asking me to allow. If you just want to let it like use the tools without always asking you, you can do like allow all, you can do allow like certain tools, and you can add directories to your context so that it's going to look in that as code. List any directories. Let's see any other ones. You can just do ask if you want to ask a question without like getting into writing any code or doing anything, any more like kind of planning, but really you're just answering a general question. You can see some of the things that are highlighted that are experimental to search. I'm assuming some web search. You can use your voice now as well. Um, the user list. I've not played with that. How you can access agent skills, links to the documentation as well. So that kind of covers the help. Um, we already did a version. Um, I'm gonna actually uh, exit, and then I'm going to do Copilot. I'm gonna add that switch to it. Again, please ask any questions as I go. If something's not clear, or you're like, "Oh, that's did you mean? Oh, did I type that wrong?" Oh, that's why. I copied the whole command, my bad. So that will enable all. This is a new feature which is pretty slick. So now we have this tab. Um, you can hit the tab key and actually go through your sessions, the session, the issues. Like so, we have an issue open right in this repo because it's an exercise. So create application with the Copilot CLI. You were in that repo, so it already knows about that. Um, any pull requests that might be open, so we can look at that. We'll create a gist. Error details. I don't know if there's an error because due to following response errors might be one of the experimental parts of the tab. Can I do this same CLI functionality in VS Code instead of using a code space? Yes, absolutely. That's how I have mine set up. In fact, I will show you my setup that I use all the time. Hopefully everybody can see that, but this is what I have set up. I'm in my this is a local VS Code. I am not running this in a even in a container. This is just straight on my machine on my hard drive, and all the stuff that I've checked out. Just doing a lot of different things. But I have even just different tabs. That's how I've been doing it. I think at some point I could see like they have the CLI and you can go to different sessions. I think that's what that would be. So I could do that. Um, but that is the example that I use locally. All right. And anything else beyond that, feel free to ask. Everything Ari is showing can also be done just straight in your local. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you want to do local terminal, I can show you that too. Um, I have it locally installed. It probably will ask me to update. I don't know when the last time it should actually be pretty up to date. Yeah, it is. All right. That's what I thought. I was like, I just used it, so it should be. Um, but yeah, here it is running locally. I have it two terminals side by side. This is actually where the CLI stores a lot of its, like if you're using a skill or an agent or stuff like that, and you're using it by your user, Copilot CLI will store it in here. That's what this is showing on this side too. We can just see the whole, in your home directory, you should see something like this. Let me just do an ls instead. Yeah, I'll do that. Um, so yeah, it shows you session information, any hooks, another concept if you get deep into using the CLI or using Copilot, uh, marketplace cache, skills. I thought there was also, not seeing it here, history session state. Well, it's not interesting. I would have oh, it's under agents maybe. Yeah, okay. There's some agents under there. But you can see in the CLI tells you where you can find all your skills and all that stuff too. But yeah, you can also have it in here as well. Um, I'm just staying in here just because it's easier for me. Is that it's a special terminal that you install and run? Yeah, you can find this terminal. It's called Ghost TTY. Um, yeah. Thanks, Morgan. Yeah, you should look at these videos. Geek Trainer Christopher is awesome. Like he does great content. So definitely look at that. For the CLI, I can also share some other ones. There's Burke Holland that does a great one as well. Um, I am a huge fan of Burke. Hopefully I'm spelling his name right. Oh, this is Christopher's. Yeah. Let's see. Uh, Yeah, the Burke is. I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of Geek Trainer. I'm like a fanboy of all these guys. They just do great content, and they really kind of they break it down in such a really simple way. Even I aspire to get to their level of like how they just break things down so basically. So Burke is really great. Geek Trainer too. If you're like just getting the CLI, that is more GitHub produced from Geek Trainer from Christopher. Again, does a great job too. That series is amazing. So if you kind of want to just learn some basics and get into things, obviously feel free to look at those videos as well. Let's see. Let me go back here to our session. We're in the code. I'm pretty sure that I'm already in here, so we're good. We enabled that. Let's also log in. This is a bit of a pain for me because the only thing I don't like is that, yeah, let's see. Continue, and now I'm going to need to put this code in, but I don't know why. And I know it's something that I'm just missing, but when I do copy, it's not, yeah, it's not going to do it. So there must be some thing in the code. Oops. 80 and 804. Use the 4509. Oh my word. I know I hit the 5. All right, here we go. Authorize us. Let me just do this part. Sorry for the. Now you see all the hoops we have to go through to get into stuff. All right. So I'm logged in. Yeah, we'll do that. I don't really want to save all of this. Plain text. Um, one MCP is loaded, as well as let's see. We can see if there's any skills, which I don't think there is. There's just a custom agent. Where CodeSpace is essential is on educational device like a Chromebook, where a browser is the only. Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, great point. VS Code is really to be installed. I don't believe there's a version for Chrome. So yeah, big ups to that one, because that's what's great about CodeSpace is you just need a browser. It is really a cloud environment you can use. Honestly, I have one sitting around, just sometimes like I just want to like go into a browser I have access to, log in my account, and do some stuff real quick. Obviously, I use the mobile app too, but sometimes I want a full code space, and I can do that on a Chromebook or anywhere I have access to a browser. So thank you for that. Great comments. Thank you for helping me. All right. We have some other ones like session. Um, it's just going to give us, let me do this. I think they've expanded that. I guess we got to do info now. That means I have to update my exercise, but it gives you information about like your directory structure, where your session is, um, the link to it too. So I believe, if we're not mistaken, you can actually go into an agent in that area into the CLI. I guess I'm disabled for some reason. You should be able to do this. Share settings. Oh, it's probably just the session is private. Oh, okay, there we go. And I think I did copy it. Yeah, let me see if that works. It should work. Nope. I guess I have to see why my remote session stopped working. But we don't have to worry about that. We can stay in this environment for now, but something's going on my remote, I guess, or maybe on that org, it's not shared. Uh, Session state, just your ID, things like that. I think they might have disabled that. That's might be on. Let's see if that works. All right, let's see if this works now. I'm so curious if this, let's do what we want. Remote mode enabled. Okay, that's great. Oh, yeah, I think they locked something down where you can't use remote right now. So disregard that for now. If I do figure out of how way around it, I'll let you know. Um, the context. So again, and I like to also clear what I'm doing. Um, Context. Again, we're still on this Opus model. I'm going to switch my model by doing that. Um, I'll go to available and I messed up. Let me go back. Yeah. Auto is what we want. There we go. Um, and it tells you too when it's on auto what model it's using. Um, and that's also a good thing. Um, any usage which should be none at this point. Yep. AI credits. Just another way, like besides this little shortcut down here, it's another map to tell you to like over the past, if you were using this system, obviously some of that, if you had this code space and how long you're using it, it would probably rack up that usage as well. Ask Copilot to help you create a feature request issue for. So we're going to create a calculator app. Um, we're going to create the issue first. We're going to use this template. We're going to fill in this information. So let's look at that code real quick too. So it's going to actually utilize this template, which is just a feature request. Um, I think PJ and I covered this yesterday about issue templates. And this is an example of one just in Markdown, and it's going to fill in that information for us. The label is an enhancement, and all this kind of stuff. So that's that. Let's copy this. And then we're ready. I think we're ready, right? We don't have to do any other steps. No, we did all of that. It will ask you to about the repo URL, I think. Also, when you copy a lot of lines, it kind of does this thing where, and I don't know if there's a way to show it. Um, I think it'll show you once we do it. I thought there used to be a command for that too, though. So this is what the prompt that I fed it. It's going to read the feature request template and then create a GitHub issue for us. And let's see what it does. Again, interacting with, and that's okay. It's still working. It'll figure it out. Um, you want to run. So here it's asking us to run a command. I am going to say yes, and don't ask me about printf again. So that tool specifically, I'm allowing, or I can allow everything if I want to. So I think it created it for us. Let's see if we got it. Wow, that was fast. If that did that, wow. So we asked it just to kind of show the prompt that I had. This is what I prompted to ask it that. Um, I want a calculator, create a GitHub issue, a Node.js CLI calculator app, using the following template. Use that markdown issue template, that format. It contains a calculator. I want to request these features, basic arithmetic, and I'm outlining what those are, just addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and it should be implemented in this calculator.js file. I'm adding that here. I think it would probably just go create something similar to that name, but I want to be more exact in what I'm specifying, and that's just my choice. Again, context is so important when you are working with Copilot and any AI. Create the issue directly into the current owner, so it's going to be under my name and repository on GitHub using the CLI, the GitHub CLI commands. And I think lists the issue link when it's complete, which is what it did. So we got the issue. Let's make sure that's actually what it did. Um, it's a nice feature, very brief description on what we want, the file we want to create. Um, Command line tool to perform everyday calculations, implement a calculator CLI, and the different arithmetic functions we want. And the request is for foundational calculator feature in Node.js. And then that's ready to go. So we got that issue created. That being said, we did do that correctly. Again, we can just step through. We're on to step two. Um, Something too, I'll show you that's pretty nifty. Uh, but I'm going to actually exit out of the CLI. And then I'm going to open it up that way so I can allow all my tools and we can kind of get cooking a bit more. It's not on autopilot, but I kind of like it better for the tools that I'm approving. So here I am enabling all MCP tools and I'm saying allow all, which means I can allow all the tools to run and it won't keep asking me like it did before. All right. So now we're back in the CLI. Um, so we want to create and push a new branch. Again, we could do this with just Git commands. We could do it in our VS Code and, have the little source control icon, the extension, and do it that way. 100% can do it that way. But if you're in the CLI already, why leave your workflow, right? That's the kind of idea that's what I do. I don't want to leave my workflow. I don't want to use a bunch of different links and things. They're great to have, but I'm starting to use the CLI where it does everything for me. It doesn't mean I forgot how those commands work or that it takes the place of them. I always feel like, and I think PJ said this yesterday, you want to learn how it works, the underlying thing that the AI is doing. So then you can even ask better prompt, you can prompt it better, you can give it more context. I think that's important. When you just kind of let the AI do its thing and you don't really know what it's doing, that's where we kind of lose a little bit of control and we kind of hand that human loop, being in the human loop there, and we hand it back to AI to just do everything for us, and that's really not the best way. So it did create that branch. As you can see, it automatically switched here. So we were on main and now it switched to this branch for us just by doing that. Um, what I'm going to do too is I am going to open, sorry, I have an image here that is the calculator. Where did I put it? Yeah, there we go. It's in here. Sorry. So this is my basic calculator, right? All I did is I took like numbers that I actually had from output from when I created this, and I copied that image and threw it in here just to use as a reference because you can use files with the CLI as well, whether it's an image or any other type of file. So I'm going to copy that again. Um, Let me come back to close that file. There we go. Close that file. I want to go back to my, that's fine. We can stay in here. Um, so I'm going to reference that image and I'm going to create the calculator app based on the 4 basic math operations and make sure it's commented and the operations that it supports. Let me also make sure that I didn't miss. Yeah, that's fine. This is just showing to if you were doing from the terminal and you want to do it not interactively like we're doing it in the CLI, you could actually just give the command in these quotes on the terminal. For example, um, if I wanted to do that, I could just do it right here and then copy and paste that. But obviously, I'm already in the terminal here, and I'm in terminal, and I want to do it interactively, I should say. Where code space? Yeah. Any other questions so far, or something you guys want to see in particular? I mean, obviously we're walking through this, but if there's something you want to see, I don't mind going off script and just showing you what the capabilities are. It's so powerful. It really kind of allows you to, in natural language in a terminal, use all these tools and have access to whether it's like GitHub MCP servers, and we can list that too.
I'll come
We'll
off
actually
mute
do.
just for a second
Yeah,
to ask if there's a way you can, even if it's like a skill to point folks towards it, but kind of like understanding how skills work within the CLI and how you and like why they might be useful.
sure. Let's do
Like
that.
building out not you don't have to build out a full-on CLI skill right now, but but just kind of like wondering, like making sure that folks know the difference between like this the other skills exercises that you do. Obviously, those are more for learning. The skills that are within Copilot and the CLI are really
Yeah,
useful for other reasons, and that'd be great to just touch on.
sure. I think, yeah, we can escape out of that and I can go do that. Um, no, let's just get out of that. What I'll do too is I'll switch back to my other terminal and we'll do the Copilot and let's dive into some agent skills. So let's go to just do the commands for the CLI that kind of show what you can do, which I think we did that. We only have the custom agent. Um, we can add skills here. There's an awesome site. And let me see if I can just find awesome Copilot. Yeah. This site is awesome too. If you're really interested in diving deeper into the CLI and some of the added things you can do besides just agent skills and agents and all that, it's a great resource. It kind of walks through some of this. But if we wanted to add, let's go to the skills section. Um, it's a good listing. I think where is it? Skills. Yeah. I wonder if you could do the plugins, but let's stay with skills for now. Um, this is a skill for acquiring code based knowledge. So we could grab a skill. Um, I want to see, there is a command for installing. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to add this uh, marketplace, and then we can install a plugin, which actually will have skills in it. Actually, we could just do plugin/plugin. I think it should work. Marketplace is default marketplace. Oh, it's already available. Sweet. So it's already installed. Wow, that's something new they added. Um, let's go to plugins. I like plugins. Actually, that's what I'm creating for our skills exercise. Um, let's see where the README is here. Let's go back to the top. Sorry, I know I'm kind of going all around the repo. There we go. Let's pick agent orchestration team. Um, so I think if we go here, And let's grab that guy. I think, is it producer? Let's see what we find. We can always ask Copilot too. Let's see. Um, there it is, browse. Browse. Ah, awesome. Copilot. There we go. So now this gives us a listing of all of our plugins. Plugins are a combination of skills. Let me just move this out of the way. Um, so like for example, a plugin can have a hook, can have instructions, can have agents, and can have agent skills as well. So it's kind of a bit of everything. Like here's the one for awesome Copilot. Or actually, let's just go to the one that we're doing for our orchestration here. So if we look at this file, this is the one for orchestration. It has some custom agents, which are just markdown files, just like the skills.md that'll be under here. It also has some references, I guess, too, of patterns, anti-patterns, project brief, sprint plan. This is the kind of what's made up of this one. This one only has agents and yeah, and the plugin definition. So it just has agents and skills, which I think is good. It's very basic. So let's install that one. Um, AI, let me just get the name correctly. I think go to the README and it should be this. Oh, add, not install. No, that's a source plugin. Oh, there we go. Oh, marketplace plugin name at awesome Copilot. Awesome. So this has one skill. Um, so now if we do skills list, we should see that guy. It only found to install successfully install one skill, use skills list to see them. I do not see them. Interesting. Oh, well, let's do restart. There we go. I guess we just needed a restart. Um, so Bootstrap and run a multi-agent AI development used when starting a new software project with great. So let's see what it says here. What's cool too about this, it gives you some guidance, right? So let's describe something that we want it to do. Um, I want to build and describe your project. Create sprint one plan. So let's do this. I'm going to take uh, uh, skills, remove, reload. I expect it to, hold on. Sorry about that. let's do it. Uh, yeah, that should work. So there, I just had to give the name and then it chose the skill and it's now going to bootstrap that calculator for us. It's using the anti-pattern agent. It's reading the agents that are there installed for that skill. Sorry, that plugin. Because we have these. Let's see, these are the skills. So this is the skill itself. Those are the references that popped up. It's reading those. I wonder because we use the skill directly, if it would use the agent. If we wanted to use the agent too, we can do show that next too. That's similar, but you're going to call agent and select that agent. It's also looking at the code in our repo as well. Sorry, just all right. Just making sure. Excellent. So it looks like it's actually going to create everything for us. So that was kind of a cool, Morgan, actually, I'm happy you said that. So we were showing the basic functionality of walking through using Copilot in the CLI of us creating this calculator. Now we've kind of handed it off to this skill to now create it for us. So that's pretty cool, right? Granted, we were kind of doing that peer programming of way of doing it with Copilot, which is very similar that we've done in the chat, but this is what's also generated us now. Not only it looked at what we had in the steps because it was in this exercise, looked at that, the context that I gave it, and then also created the source file and a test for it as well. So if we go and we look at the code, um, we have our calculator here and we have our test. Um, so let's also ask it, since we did that to orchestrate, we could continue on with the skill if we want. I wanted to show the agent too. So if we go to /agent, uh, see how it has the different agents that were part of that plugin. This is why I think plugins are even better than just doing a skill or just doing an agent. It's kind of combining the both of them together. There's also hooks too. I don't want to go like too advanced, but that's where stuff can get really interesting. There's really good descriptions of these though on here. So this is a trigger during Copilot agent session. So you can look at what like this is actually the website too. Like that was the source repository. If you want to see the website, these are all the contributors. This is a great site and it's already built into the CLI, which is also awesome. Where is it? There it is. Copy link address. So if you want to go directly there, um, that's a nice website too. You can just browse stuff, but it has a list of like the agents, the instructions, skills, plugins. You could spend days, or these are the agentic workflows. Um, Canvas extensions. This is for the Copilot app. I have not seen this before. So I have to say, folks, this moves even fast for me. I'm in this every day and I'm already amazed by like how we just kind of put content out there and features out there that it's pretty amazing. But if you wanted to see what hooks are available, uh, secret scanner, session logger, I guess it gets triggered by certain events. And you may want to use maybe only one of these or all of them. I like the plugin part just because it kind of groups different ones together of like the skills and the agents and the hooks. So then you kind of get the best of both worlds. Um, let's see. So this is a good description too. It tells you the skill that it has, the and the agent that it has. That's part of it. It has some tagging in the website, and then you could just share this. Failed to load file content. So I guess it's a feature that doesn't work. But this will take you right to the point in the repo too. If you click the GitHub link, it'll take you right to where that one is. So you could browse the website and then go dig into that specific plugin. or any of Hook's. Like I said, you can go crazy. If you just wanted to look at agents too, you can see like they have a lot of stuff here. This is all contributed. Open source. You can contribute to this if you want. You just have to follow their maintainer guidelines, or it's not their maintainer, their contribution guidelines, I should say. People ask me too, like, what is the difference between agents and skills? Um, Agents is really persona based. So like an AWS principal architect, while a skill is really like doing a task or doing a specific, it has a job to do. So you'll even notice that's also why agents can be coupled with skills, because the agents will utilize the skill to carry out a certain task. So that agent may have certain skills that it wants to run as part of what it does. Hopefully that answers your question. If we wanted to do, too bad there's not a planning one. I gotta add mine to this. Uh, but that's the agent. If we want to, like, so now we created that calculator. Now we had the agent do the whole thing. You saw how fast that was, right? And obviously it's a basic calculator. It's nothing, a complex project here, but it's pretty powerful how fast it did it. So let's ask it, let's run the test for our calculator and show me B and B verbose when showing me the test results. If I could type, that would be great. It should know based on the context, based on what we just did. Obviously, I'm not using an agent for this. I kind of just want to show like we had the agent create the calculator. Um, so let's see. Um, Gives you a breakdown of what it ran of the tests. Tests were 12, 12 passed. Um, let's say redo and make it even more detailed in a table. Not super pretty. We can make it even prettier, but pretty cool. We created a calculator. We just offloaded to the skill to do it really, or we could do the agent as well if we wanted to. It's going to call the skills anyway. Any questions, or do you want to see how to create your own skill? Let's do that. Let's see if we let's create a calculator skill. Help me create a calculator skill. You can also use the CLI to create agents as well. I can show you that. But let's try this with skills. I don't think there is a skills like to create like with a slash command, but I'm just going to do it this way. Sorry, my son is talking very loud, so I'm telling him to quiet down. All right. Do you want a Copilot CLI custom skill for this repo or new general? Okay, so we want a GitHub skill style. Oh, we can make one custom skill. Yeah, recommended. That's what we want. Also, clarifying question comes back with that, which is nice. We're still in auto, by the way. Have not specified a model. Pretty good results with just using auto. I would say if you, like I said yesterday, if you do not know like a specific model you want to use for a specific purpose, by all means, you should use auto. I wonder too if I can show this to you folks. If we were to go to, yeah, let's go to an agent. Um, so you'll notice too, like in an agent, this is really just a markdown file. This is that front matter, but they specify a model here. So when you execute that agent, it's going to use that model in particular. I don't believe that's the case. Obviously, it's not for skills because it's really just Claude. Uh, or I should say, they're probably using whatever model you're currently using is probably how we do it. But obviously, they're Claude skills originally, but we're using whatever model that we're using at the time. Let's see. All right. So let's do a skills. That's what I didn't do. It's not a restart. You could just do a reload. That was my bad. This changes so fast. I lose track of the slash commands. That's what the slash help is there. But obviously you can ask, the other cool thing is you can ask Copilot CLI about Copilot CLI and it knows a lot about itself. So if you have any questions, you can just in natural language, ask it what you want. All right. Oh, let me do skills. Let's see. Two found skills reloaded. Found three skills. Maybe you do have to do a restart. I thought the reload would have worked. Found three skills list. That seems like a bug to me, but we can just do a restart. Okay, so we created this one. This is from the plugin and this is built in. So now we have three skills. And it's in the it's in the repository. So if I go here, we go to skills, there it is. And this is that skills that Copilot just created for us as well. I know we're getting close to time. Anything else that someone wants to see besides skills, or if you want to see how we can also show you how we create an agent as well. So if you wanted to create an agent, you can also do this instructions. Um, this is the one that's in there. I think instructions. I thought there was a way to create, but let's just do agent then. Uh, default. I thought there was a. Let's go to the. Let's ask Copilot. Um, how do how can you help me create instructions and a custom. I know there's slash commands for this. It's going to go right to the documentation to find that. Wire validation, create edit repo or with right rules. What is the command to create? What is the slash command to create? I don't usually create an agent this way, but obviously this is a good way to do it too. And I think if you're in the CLI, probably easier to do it. To create an agent. Let's see what it says. Pretty sure there was a slash command because I've used it in the past. Check the docs for us. Browse select agent to create custom one by adding its config. So you have to ask the config. I thought there used to be one, but I guess not. So I guess we could just tell it to create us an agent. Create us a calculator agent that utilizes the calc calculator skill we we created. Maybe that's even better because like you could get too many slash commands. I think that's maybe how I have done it when I used the CLI before, but maybe I'm forgetting. They do change these commands so frequently, but it will fetch the info and then come back to us with an answer. Watching you think and ask it for help and then give it instruction is super informative. Yeah. And obviously, like I'm prompting, like I'm not giving a whole bunch of context. Luckily, the repo is kind of I would say that's one thing like to kind of connect back to the exam is that the state of the work you do with the CLI or wherever you're doing, you're using Copilot is the repository. Or it could be the organization, but most likely it's the repository. So it has all of this context from the repository. That's how it knew to create the skill for us. That's how it was able to create the calculator using that agent orchestration skill that we did. And I think that's what's pretty powerful about it. Like, you do not have to be as you're seeing a developer, software engineer, and I'm applying it to software topics, but you can apply it to anything. Like, I'll give an example. There's someone on my team that is non-technical at all, and she built a game to use for partner engagement stuff. And she created a game out of it and did it all through the CLI. She just asked the natural language how to do that. Again, though, the skills give you that context and more power. So we were able to pull down that skill, use the agent to create what we wanted. And there may be other ones here too in the plugins that let's go back to plugins. So there may be other plugins in here that are more interesting to you. Maybe let's see something that's like context engineering and something along those lines. Uh, and here's their full repo for that. Slash context map, slash commands you can do alongside of it. Where's, I guess I would have expected, oh, there it is. This has the agents and skills as well. I'm trying to see if there's one that has hooks as well, because I know there have been, I've seen it before. Copilot SDK, .NET, modernizing Java, Power Platform. I mean, it goes on and on. This is where I plan to add my plugin for GitHub Skills uh, exercises. That's probably what I'll end up calling it. I actually have a prototype of it now, but I've kind of got sidetracked with other projects and I have to get back to that. But I already started it. I actually let agents work on it for a while as well. Um, any other questions? I know we got like 3 minutes left. Let's see what created for us. So now if we go to agents here, we have the calculator agent. See how it's referencing the skill that we created. Cool stuff. So I could actually package this up as a plugin if I wanted to for the calculator. Um, you know, let's do that. Why not? We have 2 minutes. Let's see if we can do it in 2 minutes. Um, create a plugin using create a calculator plugin using the agent. I like to be sorry if I go back. I like to clarify custom agent and skill we created for the calculator. Actually, probably could have worded that better, but let's see what it comes back with. We got 2 minutes, so I'm squeezing it in. Um, Let me know though if there's any other questions. Anything else that you'd like to cover? So what it really needs to do now is probably, I'm assuming it's going to generate a readme for us. I assume, oh wow, it's actually handing this off to the skill to do it. Install plugins, maybe. Let's see what it does. Team QA. Yep, there we go. Um, it's got to generate that JSON file. I just want to make sure it was doing that. Um, so if we go under GitHub, that's that. Oh, there we go. So this is the plugin here. So it's taking what we did up there for the agent and the skill, and it's created us a calculator. And I believe it should generate the JSON for us. Let's see what the README says. A Copilot plugin that packages a calculator specific skill and agent for this Node.js project. So I actually created one for my project so you could have an agent and skill with a plugin. So you could use this in a CLI directly. Obviously, you want to publish this as the plugin, like an awesome Copilot or some other marketplace, or maybe just even locally. You can do that and then reference it as well. I was hoping that is here. Yeah, there it is. It's under the .github directory. So this would be a project in itself with the .github directory. It has like a license, who the author is, and it generated all that for me. So I just generated a plugin like that. And obviously very basic. The skill is probably not doing a whole lot. It's just giving about the repository itself, about testing the calculator and all of that kind of goodness of the source code. It's really meant to live with this repo, but that's how we did it in this context. If I started from scratch, I could build this out as something and have references and things like that. Um, so I hope that was helpful. I know I'm over. Um, or if you want me to continue, I'm happy to, but I think we're at time. If there's no other questions, thank you for, hope the code was useful for the exam. Good luck on the certification. And thanks for letting me run through the CLI. And thanks for the information, Morgan, about concentrating on skills. I hope that this was useful for folks as well.
Thank you, Ari. That was awesome. You're getting claps. Thank you so much. I know you have to get going.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. And so yeah, that was awesome. That
Yeah.
was awesome.
Thank you. Happy to
Um,
do it. It was awesome.
Thank you. Let's see, I'll get your stuff off of here. There we go. Cool. All right, everyone. We have reached the time in our day where we can do breakout sessions, and it's apply your learning time. One thing I will say before that is I have a new link for everyone. I'll also share this out actually as an e-blast from the Luma link. But I have been compiling all of the URLs and links that have been shared from folks the last 2 days. And it's organized between day one and day two. So you can see sort of some of the links that folks have been sharing over the last couple of days, including PJ's Learn with PJ link, including a lot of the websites, blog posts, lesson plans, and projects from this morning, the working group. Everything that Ari just shared is also in there. So we'll have a lot of fun things for y'all to go through. So we have the opportunity again for some breakout sessions, and I wanted to make sure that we have, see the breakout folks that we have here today, that we have some breakout sessions that are based on things that y'all either want to learn more about or have questions about. So we will have again a breakout room, I think with Phoebe, as well as here she is. We'll have a breakout room with Phoebe for questions, including campus program, any questions about enterprise, for institutions and how you can, learn more about some of the trainings for those. I actually added a few of those links to that resource I just shared. Anything else, Phoebe, that you think would be you'd be a good person to ask stuff about? Like I can also give you some more
Yeah.
topics. Yeah.
So, this is not something that very many people know about, but we do have the ability to bulk verify students. And so I want to chat. I have an opportunity to chat with you a little bit about that if you're interested in something like that. This is really more geared towards programs that are looking to onboard a lot of students all at once. which can be a little bit challenging. But I would love to share a little bit more about what bulk verification is and how that works. So if you'd like to hear about that, you can join me in the breakout room.
Awesome. We also will have PJ again. PJ is here, if you recall PJ from yesterday. And let's see, if he wasn't, okay, if you weren't here yesterday, will the recordings be available to you? Yes, all the recordings will be available next week. I understand the recaps aren't available. Yeah. So some of the recaps, I think, won't be able to be shared fully if you weren't like in the meeting. It's based on sort of like it's a Teams thing, I think. So we can give recaps for the day as well, but the links should help kind of like follow along with some of the topics covered yesterday, at least. And luckily that you're here, PJ is here. PJ was a huge part of day one, and PJ could also give you a really kind of like great recap of what happened yesterday as well. So if you have actually, maybe that's the next breakout room, it automatically happened just like that. If you have questions about yesterday, including day one sort of Git and GitHub 101, 102 topics covered. There may be even some fun new links that PJ has that I don't have yet. I will do a breakout room with PJ as well. So right now we'll do 2 breakout rooms. We might even get up to 3. If there are additional questions about some of the stuff that we went over today. Unfortunately, Swift and some of the folks from earlier today, weren't able to sort of like join for later on in the day today, but we do have folks available to help. And so yeah, let us know if you have any questions. So right now I'm going to do 2 breakout rooms. We might do a third, and we can get folks happening. Okay, so if you have questions about yesterday, Get in GitHub 101. If you have questions about Canvas program, about bulk verification for students or your classrooms, we're going to talk to Phoebe. So those will be the 2 breakout rooms for now. I'll hang out here for a little bit as well if folks have questions. And what time is Codio presenting? Codio is presenting tomorrow. I'll reshare the link again for the schedule. All of day 3, which is tomorrow, is going to be about the classroom sunsetting, and our 2 new partners, Codio and 50 Foundation, who are assisting us in that transition. So you'll get full demos and Q&A sessions from them tomorrow, as well as an intro from Avni about a little bit about the transition and the sunsetting timeline in the morning. Okay. Yeah. But I'll reshare the schedule so you can see exactly the time that they're going to be presenting. So I'm going to mute myself for a second. I'm going to create these breakout sessions in these rooms, and y'all can pop in to talk to either Phoebe or PJ, and we'll go from there.
Is there, sorry. Okay. While the rooms get created, I'd love to introduce you all to Dan Wallin. He's just joined us. He's a developer advocate in our organization, and he's also going to be helping in the breakout rooms. Morgan's working on having him be an organizer so he shows up at the right place. Oh, Dan is actually in the 101 room. Okay, let me see what. Okay, just introducing you. Okay, so Dan will be hanging out in the GitHub 101 room. But if you have questions as you're going through the exercises, let us know and he will be able to help. He's an amazing engineer, like an amazing engineer and an advocate and very technical. So we'll be able to be very hands-on. And if you don't know how to get into a room, there should be a rooms link at the top. And you'll be able to see 2 rooms there that are available for you to join.
And for some reason they can't, I can sign into a room.
And if for some reason you're not able to join a room, Morgan can assign you to a specific room that you'd like to join. So just put a, sorry, I'm getting messages from Dan. Sorry, so just put a message in our group chat here. So if you go to rooms at the top of your Teams window, you'll be able to see the 2 rooms that you're able to join, campus program and bulk verification, where Phoebe's going to be hanging out, and day 1, GitHub 101, 102, that is going to be where PJ and Dan are on standby for technical support. Just click the join button next to those 2 rooms, whichever room you want to join. If you're not able to join, put a quick note in the group meeting chat and Morgan will assign you to the room that you want. So when you do say, like, when you do put a note in the chat, just indicate which room you'd like to join and Morgan will assign you. Thank you. And PJ's right. You're also free to work on anything you'd like. Doesn't have to be restricted to GitHub 101 or Git 102 content. Okay. And for those who are hanging out here, would you like, let us know if you have any questions. Morgan's gonna be hanging out here. Oh, Dan, are you here? Great. Yes, we just said PJ and you would be in GitHub 101 and 102. Thank you for joining.
I'll hop back over. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna put, yeah, I'll leave participant on screen. That's fine. All right, there's still 10 folks here. Hi, Pelly. We're trying to figure out how to get you get you added as an organizer. Give us 1 second. I'm gonna.
Okay. There.
There we go.
You got it.
Hi, Pelly. Thank you for joining. Let me see if I can bring you on screen. There you are.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you. We're now going into breakout rooms. I think the best place for you to hang out is probably the GitHub 101, 102 room as well, where people are actually doing hands-on exercises from what they learned yesterday and today, including some of the agentic workflows today. So we'll get you included in a room. Give us once. Does that sound good?
My laptop is long dead, so on the phone.
All right, so for those who are in the main room, if you're looking for advanced workflow help, Morgan is going to create a new room, a third room for that, and we're going to have Pelly and likely Dan come join that room. Okay. So this would be like for beyond just the GitHub core platform. This would be situations like you're trying to create your own skill, you're trying to create, trying to use an agent, like you're trying to figure out how to like make sense of all the agentic AI workflows that Ari went through. Dan and Pelly would be great to help you with that.
So it is open.
It is open. Okay, so that room is 3. Can you add Pelly there and I'll go announce in the other GitHub 101 room. Oh, I see. Pelly, can you, or do you see that room, the advanced workflows? I think you could join that.
Still moving my office, but I don't know if I can find it on the mobile app.